Hey guys, welcome to ATV TV. I'm David, and we've got a slightly different video for you today because we realised we've got a cool selection of vintage Gibson acoustics to hand, and we thought it'd be a great opportunity to just play them, show you guys what they sound like, how different they all sound, and just have some fun with that really. Before we get cracking, if you do want to hit the subscribe button and maybe even the notification bell, we'd really appreciate that. Helps us move forwards with building up this channel and putting out more cool content. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So the first guitar we've got is this really cool 1973 Gibson J200. Now the J200 has actually been around since 1939 when it was introduced as the Super Jumbo 200, but it was originally released with rosewood back and sides, and then in 1947 they changed it to maple back and sides, which is what we see here today. And then in 1955, they renamed it the J200. So it's not just the back and sides that are made of maple on this guitar. So you've got the neck is a three-piece maple construction as well. And other than that, it's fairly standard Gibson, spruce top and rosewood fingerboard. And even though this is an early 70s instrument where Gibsons are renowned for starting to put on weight a little bit, this is actually not very heavy at all and absolutely has that classic J200 sound. So for me personally, when I think about the J200, I think about a couple of people, mostly Pete Townsend, because I'm a big Who fan, and also Elvis Presley. I looked it up earlier, and apparently he had 4 J200s. Interestingly, this particular one was owned by a man called Guy Fletcher, who is a prolific songwriter and actually wrote for Elvis Presley himself. So fun little full circle story there. So next up, we've got this really rather lovely 1963 Gibson J50. So the history behind this is quite interesting actually. It's basically a J45. And the J45 was introduced in 1934 to take on Martin's D line of acoustic guitars. So the J50 was introduced a few years later in 1942 as the J45's slightly higher end sibling. So the reason for this is because of the natural finish, which required slightly nicer quality wood than the J45, where it could often be hidden under the sunburst. So construction-wise, again, it's the same as a J45. You've got spruce top and mahogany back and sides. This one being from 1963 has the adjustable bridge, which was introduced a couple of years earlier. It's an interesting thing. It's useful because you can adjust the action of the bridge, which is cool, but also means that there's a kind of compromise kind of transfer of sound from the strings to the body. So a lot of people remove the adjustable bridge and just put a solid saddle in. So sound-wise, this is actually a very mellow guitar. It doesn't react very well to being played loud, but for the more kind of chilled out fingerstyle and more kind of mellow country rhythm picking sort of stuff, it really shines. It's got a very articulate mid-range, and I actually like this guitar so much that I bought it, so there we go. So third on our list of interesting Gibson acoustics that we happen to have around us at this point in time is this 1967 Gibson J160E. So the J160E differs from most acoustics in its construction in that it's rather than a solid top, it's plywood construction all round, and it's ladder braced as well. And interestingly, the top on it is not like kind of modern plywood acoustic tops, which are quite thin. This one's a good kind of 4 or 5 mil thick, which creates an interesting sound. It's also really good for combating feedback, so really good for live use. And in that vein, it's also fitted with a P90 pickup, which again is really great for live use, so you can just plug it straight in, plug it into a PA or an amp or whatever, and it sounds great, which is why it was favoured by the Beatles. So in the playing you're about to hear, you'll hear the guitar mic'd up, you'll also hear the pickup direct, and you'll hear a blend of the two. So last, but by no means least, is this extremely cool and extremely rare 1963 Gibson Humming Dove. So the Gibson Hummingbird was introduced in 1960 and is notable as Gibson's first guitar with square shoulders in the Martin style of things. Other than that, it's kind of standard Gibson fare, 24 and 3/4 inch scale, spruce top and mahogany back and sides. So a couple of years later, in 1962, Gibson introduced the Dove acoustic guitar, which has the same body shape as the Hummingbird, but with maple back and sides, and a 25.5 inch scale length, which produces a slightly brighter, clearer tone from the guitar. Now, all of this brings us nicely to our particular example, which, while technically is just a 1963 Gibson Hummingbird, has the maple back and sides and longer scale length of a Dove. Now, this happened because in '63, Gibson had an unexpected influx of orders for the Hummingbird, and they couldn't keep up. So they ended up literally taking Doves off the production line, sticking a Hummingbird pickguard on it, and selling it on as a Hummingbird. So out of all of the guitars that we've played today, this is probably the most versatile. It's got a huge dynamic range and is actually really suited to pretty much anything you could throw at it in terms of acoustic playing. There you go, a small selection of Gibson acoustics that we happen to have around us at this point in time. I know which one my personal favourite is, but I'd love to know which one you guys prefer, so let us know in the comments below. So if any of these guitars are for sale as and when this video goes out, they'll be linked in the description below. If you've enjoyed this video, please do hit the subscribe button and the notification button if you want to see more videos from us. And yeah, I've been David, you've been watching ATB TV, and we'll see you next time.